All right.
Till we're all growing a beard. A man's face should never be bare. We just want some facial hair. We're anticipating, yeah, everyone's waiting for a beard.
Well, good morning, guys, and welcome. This is a special Thanksgiving edition of Behind the Beards. I guess it's not too special because it's at our same date, same day, same time,
Same people,
same people.
same outfits.
But it is, I guess, everything around Thanksgiving is special, right?
Amen.
Well, here around Behind the Beards, we do our best to pull the curtain back, take a look behind the scenes, and reveal the things that we think you need to know about your ministers and your ministry leaders. I'm Josh Fowler. I'm preaching minister in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My co-host, partner, brother, Aaron Partlow is a youth minister in Topeka, Kansas. It's a great sunflower state. Sunflowers plentiful in Kansas right now?
I have no idea, to be frank. I've been quarantined for now. This will be my second week. We'll finish up on Sunday. I'll be clear to enjoy the world again. But interesting fact, I love watching The Weakest Link. I don't know what about it, but it's my Jeopardy. Like, I really enjoy it. And one of the questions was, what state is known for being the sunflower state? And I was like, Kansas. Bank. Got that one. So that was kind of nice. But the guy did not know it. He did not know. He did not know his geography. He missed like 2 geography questions. So I was feeling he was voted off eventually.
I like The Weakest Link. I like The Weakest Link better with that
with the
small British lady.
Oh, okay.
Was just brutal, but she was teeny tiny. And so just the brutal nature in which she would deal with the contestants was always like, oh man, she's mean. I like their current host now. She's also funny, but just doesn't have the same.
Jane Lynch. I think she does a really good job.
Yeah.
I really like Jane Lynch. I think she's so cold. Like, she is so cold. And I'm just like, she just said that so cold without even like a hint of a flinch.
Right. Yeah.
Just crazy. It was funny. It was funny. This last episode, spoiler alert, if you watch it all. But one of the guys works at the Humane Society, and one of the other ladies was going to vote him off. And she says, well, why do you think they should be voted off and not you? And then she said, well, he missed a question. And then she's turned to her and said, yes, and you missed both your questions. And he saves animals and has a great smile. And it was like so funny. Because he had talked about what he did. And she goes, well, you are warming my cold heart. And I don't think I like that. So we're moving on.
Yeah. So maybe it's this little bit of a guilty pleasure, right? The fact that she says and does things that you, in some little way, wish that you could actually come out and say to people, but she does it, and instead of people getting mad and upset, they laugh.
They laugh, right?
Yeah.
That is pretty funny. That's probably why I enjoy it so much. Yeah.
The things I wish I could do and say, right?
Right.
We're doing pretty good down here. It's had a dry spell, which has been really good for our football season. Our playoffs start this weekend, so we got to start getting ready to travel around and move around the state a little bit more.
Right on. So we are rainy in Topeka.
Yeah, it's supposed to start raining tomorrow, and it may not stop for a month or so. They've been saving it all up, but all good. Glad to hear Lauren. Lauren's doing better. Lauren's feeling better. So
Lauren's doing really, really good. I thank you guys all who have been praying for her, and we appreciate that. And she had some like really bad days, some really bad hours, and stuff like that, where I was working and I'd come down and she'd look at me and I'd be like, okay, you need to go crawl into bed. And then she'd sleep for like 3-4 hours and then wake up and she'd feel a whole lot better. So her body just needed a lot of rest. So keep praying for her. She is nervous to go back to work on Wednesday, and things like that. Working in a hospital right now, especially in Topeka, our hospitals are at max capacity with COVID patients and things like that. And so it's just
crazy.
It's just kind of stressful, extra stress. And that's extra stress for churches right now, especially. Pray for your church leaders and be involved in the conversation if you can, about in-person service, going live, all that kind of stuff, because they want and need your input. They want to know what's best for the health of the congregation. But I will say one last thing before I switch gears. It is your responsibility to continue to help the lifeblood of your congregation if you are not meeting in person. It is not a vacation from God. COVID is not the vacation from God. So,
yeah, it's that'll
be my sermon on the 20th.
So you're pre-preaching your sermon.
Pre-preaching. COVID is not your vacation from God.
Yeah, it's that personal responsibility, I think, is really important. That it's easy for me to kind of get into this place where it's like, okay, well, I'm kind of out here doing this and that and the other, and we have a tendency to kind of wait for someone to come and bring us something.
Right.
We do that frequently when we're in person and all in the same place. It's so much easier to do when we're in more of a virtual campus. And if we're honest, there are some churches that have the resources and the equipment to actually have a virtual campus. Most of our churches just don't have the staff, and they don't have the actual physical resources to just create that virtual campus experience, so
there's also that idea of like, sometimes we'll look at these larger churches, and guys, I'm not shaming or busting anybody here. Okay. So don't think that. Sometimes we'll look at these larger congregations. We'll be like, well, how come our minister can't do that? And can I be frank? Like, I am barely getting by with what I know on YouTube tutorials on the programs that I got. Like, I have legitimately talked to a couple of my elders who are for it, by the way, of like, hey, maybe I could take like an Adobe class, like at the local college here, or go and take some videography classes, because why are you asking me about lighting? Why are you asking me about like all this? Like, I know our podcast looks really good right now, but like, it's all because of that man right there, Josh. Like, he's helped me out, get everything set up here. But like, I don't know Photoshop. I really don't. I've never used it before. I don't know how to like edit videos and all that kind of stuff. If I went back to college, I would probably like majored in Bible and minored in like media something, because like so much that I do is a lot of that kind of stuff. And so, but I don't know how to do it. And, that's one of those things, like as a youth minister, like what, like I have to, just because I'm a young guy, I need to figure this out and do this.
Yeah, that's right. Because you're part of that generation. So you just gotta do it.
You just automatically know. And I'm just like, I don't know. Oh, here it is.
Oh, sorry about that.
Hey, there it is.
There it is.
Do you have my voice as a text message sound? I like that. Thank you.
Obviously I do, of course.
I appreciate that. You can download that on the Behind the Beards app.
No, you said that, and it's not bashing, because the reason I know that people are probably comparing us to things that they're seeing like on television and larger churches is because I'm comparing myself to them, and I'm seeing their production and going, man, why can't I do that? Why can't I somehow be on that level?
That's what I meant to add to that, was they have people who know what they're doing, like doing those jobs. Like, one of my good friends that I went to college with, he actually, that's his entire job is he does their social media. He films their church services, makes all these videos, does all this. They're like a 4,000 member church. So of course they can support somebody to do that full time. And so he's always doing that kind of stuff. He did it for our club. We had like the best club videos because that's what he majored in and that's what he wanted to do. And so he does that for this church. So yeah, like I agree. Like I see those. And thanks, Dad. Um, we just talked about having you on the show, and it turns out we're booked for the end of the year. Just kidding, I love you. But anyway, but yeah, like some of those churches, like they have staff that does that. They know who've been trained. I guess that's what I meant to say. They have been trained to do that. And
This is what happens when we go off script. We have to get this. I guess that's what I meant to say, right?
Yeah, let's reel it back in. So our question of the day, and we want to hear these answers because there are some really terribly awesome potluck stories out there. But what was one of the strangest things that you have ever eaten at a potluck? Or maybe you didn't eat it, but you saw it there. And this is not to make fun of or call anybody out, because to be frank, like I am a 2-plater guy at a potluck because I want to try everything. One time it looked really good, and I thought it was just a regular tuna fish sandwich. And I sat down and I took a big bite of it, and I was like, this is not fish. Turns out it was it was everything that you put in a tuna fish sandwich except for the tuna fish, and it was a spam sandwich. It was a spiced spam sandwich, and I was sitting next to the guy who brought them, and he says, "Oh, did you like that?" And I went, "I don't know, what is it?" And he's like, "Oh, it's my favorite sandwich. It's a spam and mayonnaise and pickle and all this kind of stuff, like sandwich." And I was like, I think this is the first time I have legitimately had spam, and the last. And he laughed, and he said, "Yeah, it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody."
I said, "But you know what? I enjoyed trying it." So anyway.
Undercooked fried chicken. I'm curious as to how you knew it was undercooked if you didn't try it. Cutting into it.
One of those people cuts into everything before you take it.
There is, you do have your staples, and for me growing up, and even now as a minister, I don't usually eat at potlucks. And it's not because I don't want to eat it. It's just because by the time you kind of get around to kind of greeting everyone that's there,
it's gone.
Most of the time our yeah, right. You can get slim pickings.
Yeah.
They our Spanish group and our English speaking group are all together, and it's one of the only times that we're all together in one space in that kind of way. So we get a chance to go through and really have some conversations that we wouldn't normally have. So, but it's very geographical, I guess. The things that kind of come up.
Yeah.
Because, I remember growing up, you always had like the green bean casserole. You always had macaroni and cheese. But we don't have a lot of that here. There's always red beans and rice. We do still have the green bean casserole.
Can never have too much green bean casserole.
You can never have too much green bean casserole. There's always like a sausage kind of a dish, and somebody always brings meatballs, which are some of the best meatballs I've ever had. So Ryan Gasaway, man, it's so cool to see some of the names that pop up on these things. Ryan is a guy that I worked with at Bob Moore on the Saturn service drive, man. Steamed cabbage and turkey rolls. Deceiving.
And not great.
Right. I don't know. It's steamed cabbage. The turkey rolls I could get behind. The steamed cabbage, I'm not so sure.
This is my wife making fun of me because you're supposed to use Jell-O packets instead of Kool-Aid, and I thought it was Kool-Aid. And so we did it. We took it to a potluck, and I used red Kool-Aid with grapes, and everyone's fingers got dyed and was like dripping. So it looked like our church was sitting at this potluck with like these bloody hands eating these grapes. It looked so bad. And Lauren was like, "What did you use?" And I said, "Kool-Aid." And she was like,
Jell-O.
"You're supposed to use Jell-O." And I was like, "Oh, it tasted good." But because it was like a nice sour and sweet, but yeah, very.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, the episode today is, because we're coming up on Thanksgiving, you got all these kind of things rolling around. But did you bring fried chicken too? Like I've been to a potluck where you have a table that is full of the same thing,
Oh, right, yeah.
and then there's always
All from the same restaurant
right,
for
and
us. Like because there's one fried chicken place like 2 blocks from the church, and so everyone stops and picks up fried chicken before they come to the potluck.
hey, look, we have 7 buckets of KFC's finest.
Right, church is
The
cheap.
Colonel. This is churches, okay. And then there's always the stack of Little Caesars pizza at the end for the kids.
That's right.
It seems to be a staple in most potlucks.
We used to be that family. We used to bring the Little Caesars, but they closed down next to our house, so we don't do that anymore. Because I ain't driving across town for Little Caesars. No offense.
No offense. Yeah, no offense. Bless their heart.
Bless their heart.
Well, we're coming up on that time of year where we're going to
try.
be eating a lot, right? It's eating time. It's Thanksgiving. In fact, I'm starting a sermon series on Sunday called "At the Table" because we're here in this kind of a holiday time of year, and there's so much that goes on when we share a table together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about it's more than just a time. It's more than just Thanksgiving. In fact, being around the table is kind of the center point of our whole existence,
Right.
As a church. And we gather and we remember that place around the Lord's table every Sunday, and we have some of our greatest conversations sitting at a table and around a meal.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we can't really have a Thanksgiving episode with talking about things that we're thankful for. I didn't throw this to you, but I just shared with my church here on Sunday. This has been such a bizarre, can you believe, 9 months, almost 9 months. And I kind of look back over the course of these 9 months, the way we started, the adjustments that we made along the way, kind of working to try to get back into some kind of rhythm of being a body of people here at the church. There's some things that I've done really, really well. There's a lot of things that I've done really, really poorly.
Right.
From communication to technology, execution. Our worst Sunday of all was on Easter Sunday, of course.
Right.
And so just, and a lot of things that we tried to make things better, and they flopped and fell on their face because they seemed so good, but then execution wise just didn't live up to the hype. And so just the patience and the constant presence that our people here have shown.
Right. Yeah.
I've gotten phone calls and texts and cards from people who we kind of meet and see in passing, but didn't really have a lot of conversation with. And I look back and in those times where I was kind of at my lowest, there was always a card in the mail or a phone call or a message that said, "Hey man, I appreciate you. I know it's a lot of work. And you're doing your best to keep us all together in bizarre circumstances." And
Awesome.
It's been pretty cool to see the way people in general and specifically the church for me, but you've seen people as a whole in our communities really kind of step up and take a greater awareness of people around them. So
That's pretty awesome.
I'm grateful to be around people like that and in this space to be able to keep my head up. So
I think I'm most thankful for, and I was just thinking about this. Like I am pretty stiff. Like I'm not the most flexible person in the world, right? Like I think we all know that. I ain't no gymnast or any of that kind of stuff. But I think I've been trying to like think of 2020 more positively, especially since we've been talking about thankfulness. And I really feel like I am at a point, and I feel like our church is at a point. There's a scene in Emperor's New Groove where they're strapped to the log, and everything bad has been they've been chased by wolves. There's been arrows thrown at them. They've fallen off of cliffs, and they look. Cusco looks at the other guy. Well, and says, What? Are we heading for a waterfall? Yeah. Yeah. Probably sharp rocks? Yeah. Probably really far? Yeah. Bring it on. And I feel like 2020 has prepared the church, or at least Central, at the very least, for whatever. Bring it on. Like, it don't matter what you throw at us. Like, we're gonna love Jesus. We're gonna worship. We're gonna give, regularly like we normally do. And so like I feel like 2020 has been like boot camp for us and has stretched us. It has forced us to go, you know what? I'm gonna touch my toes, and it hurt. And like you said, like there was a lot of ups, there was a lot of downs. We did a lot of stuff really great. We've done a lot of stuff really poor.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of transitions. Terry Kitson, our pulpit minister, is working for a church down in Mansfield. So, that's a huge transition for us. We have 4 elders who are retiring at the first of the year, who have been elders for eons, and it has been a major flavor of the Central Church of Christ. And so these are some big transitions that Central's been having. And I feel like God has just been stretching us. And we are more flexible. We are doing well in remembering who we trust and who we serve throughout all of this. So I am actually thankful for 2020. It's hard for me to kind of still say that, but I am thankful for 2020 and how it has forced us to be flexible and really forced us to change and really do things different. We've had a bad habit of just always going back and doing exactly what we've been doing. In 2020, you cannot do what you've been doing. You have to change to live and survive, and so it's been a force for us and really good. So I'm thankful for all that in the bag of chips.
Yeah, and it's hard to say you're grateful for something that has been such a force of destruction for some people in their lives, even death,
Right.
And so while I am not grateful for a virus that has wreaked havoc on many, the fact that I think it's been a wake-up call. I think it's been a wake-up call for a lot of people that said, man, our lives were really messed up. Culturally, personally, in the families, even in churches. And you've had this forced innovation, and I told somebody, it's like, look, this is something we should have been doing years ago.
Right.
We have the technology, we have the equipment for the most part, we have the ability. It's just there's been something else more important that's prevented me from setting it up. And so we've put some tools in place that are going to enable us to minister to our shut-ins and to people who are sick in a much more efficient way. And like you said, there's just been hey, you know what? I don't have a choice anymore. I got to do it.
Right. Yeah, it's we have to do this.
Yeah, and I like that. Yeah, you can recognize all of the things. We're going to a waterfall, sharp rocks, long drop. Right. Bring it on.
Bring it on. Like I've got God, so like
that's right.
We're good. Like
it's coming no matter what. I'm not getting out of this situation. I'm not moving along. So I may as well step up, look at it square in the eyes, and say, I would say, me and God, but it's really God, and I'm just on the raft.
Yeah,
right?
It's really God, and
God's got this.
I'm strapped to the log with him. So,
you guys do anything at the church there around Thanksgiving that you just really enjoy?
That's one of those things that I am kind of sad about, like, because COVID has taken that away from us. Is we actually used to do, not used to. We're going to do it next year. We'll bring it back, and maybe this will be a kind of a defibrillator to the program. But we would get together the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and it was soups. Everyone would bring kind of soups and chilies and that kind of stuff, and do like a little Thanksgiving thing. And I I appreciated it so much more these last couple of years just because we have Sam. But one of our ladies who's a school teacher would get up and she would read a Thanksgiving book, and all the kids would sit up front and read this book. We would sing a couple. We'd sing the same songs that you always sing about thankfulness. You know, thank you, Lord, for loving me, and like the same ones. And then one of our shepherds would, one of our senior members, one of our ladies, who's in a nursing home and all these kind of things, was a big cornerstone of Central. She always writes a Thanksgiving poem. She hasn't been able to come to in-person service for years, but she always writes a Thanksgiving poem, and it's beautiful. So one of our elders will read that. But it's just kind of like, it's one of these like things that we do, and all the teens sit in the left-hand corner and they're talking and chatting and having a good time. And a couple of our family units all sit, it's kind of like you can look at the room and tell and know where everyone's going to be sitting, and that kind of stuff. And so it's one of those traditions that I've always enjoyed. And we invite some friends and some family, some estranged family will come for that, because it's not a church event per se. And so it's always like, it feels very homey. For me, it gives me that feeling of, when you go home and your mom's made that amazing meal or your dad's made that Thanksgiving meal or something, and you walk in and you get to enjoy that and you see all your family and friends. That church event was kind of like, was that for me? It was like, this is my family.
Yeah.
And it always felt good.
Well, so Thanksgiving,
one of my traditions. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanksgiving has traditionally been like the kickoff for our big Christmas service project. We have big, there's a little elementary school across the street from the church here. And I usually get with you did. Yes, you have. You've painted, cleaned, done a lot of work over there. So I go with the counselor at the first of the year. We get names of some families who might be in a position where they're not going to be able to have a good Christmas this year. And so all of those packets are due at Thanksgiving. So on Thanksgiving, we have kind of ornaments that line the hallway that have things that the kids and the parents, we adopt 4 whole families.
Wow.
And we tell them, say, look, there's a place for you to put your needs, a place for you to put your wants. And then like, there's this just anything goes kind of a section. And we tell them, say, I don't know if we'll be able to get everything on your list, but just put whatever and we'll do everything that we can. And then from Thanksgiving on, people start taking those ornaments. They're in little foam ornaments. And they'll buy the gift and they'll bring it back with that ornament attached, so we know who it goes to and where it all belongs. And we put everything together with a big meal, and then we deliver those to them like the week before Christmas. But it all starts, at Thanksgiving, so people can go out on Black Friday and when that was a big thing,
right?
Buy some of those things.
Stays in for Black Friday and
with
their family.
That's one of my favorite kind of traditions, is because it just kicks off one of the biggest service projects we do,
right,
for the year, and so it just brings this whole. So every Sunday we just are looking forward. We're looking forward to Christmas, but we're looking forward to Christmas because it's the culmination of all those things. We have a big event here at the church building. We cook a big jambalaya. We show a movie, have a big meal together, have a big fire pit outside. And those families come in, and that's when they get to take home the things that they have, and they either take them in kind of it's not like this big grand, hey, we're putting you up here, but when they leave, they have this stuff to take with them. They also get a chance to see the jolly old fat man, and who comes in every year. And so it's rough, man, because this year has so changed the way we.
That's not me, by the way. I'm talking about Santa.
Yeah, right. It's so changed, even the way we engage in those service type projects. That
right.
The fellowship is one thing, but then you see how deeply that fellowship is rooted in who we are as a people.
Absolutely.
And that's true in the church, but that's true in our community as well. How much of our
Hmm.
community events revolve around fellowship,
Right. Yeah.
um, and camaraderie? And
Like there's something about sitting down at a table and having a meal that, like, conversations that cannot happen any other place can happen there. And you think about these moments where Jesus was dropping big truth bombs for his disciples, right? Like some of those happened around after a meal, after discussion, after food, because there's something, I don't know if it's because, hey, I've got some food in front of me, I can kind of pick at it while I'm listening to somebody else. I've got a distraction. I can really key in. Maybe it has something to do with body language too. There's something in between you and I, but we're able to communicate over it and through it. My needs are met, my belly's full, I'm ready to listen. There's all of these different kind of things where you can have these conversations. And so, yeah, like these fellowship moments are such a huge mark, for and I think in youth ministry, I feel like I need to bring that more. One of our favorite traditions that Lauren and I started here at Central was, except for last year when we had like 4 kids get food poisoning, but that's fine. That's compared to this year, that's like nothing. But like we've done like a Friendsgiving, right?
right.
And we'll sit around and everyone will sign up for what they're going to bring, so that we don't have 4 plates of fried chicken, and we'll like do Thanksgiving with the youth group, and we'll eat it. One year we did it in the teen room, and we set up the ping pong table and stuff like that, and use that as like our big feasting table and all sorts of stuff. And that was like so much fun. And then we talked about what we're talking about now, like things we're thankful for, things we're looking forward in the future. How do we see God working? Where do we think God's calling us in the next year and stuff like that? And able to sit down and have these conversations. And to be frank, like I was like, man, maybe we should like do this every Wednesday, because I had more communication, more kids talking on that event about God and about seeing God in their lives than like I normally do in Bible class. When I
Right.
literally ask them these questions and they're like, his eyesight is based on movement. I'm not a transverse Rex.
Oh, it's too funny. There's some things that I would love to do that we kind of done in the past. I remember at Memorial Road, our service project, our big project at Memorial Road was a day in the city.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Well, a couple years after they did that, we had a Thanksgiving Day in the city, and we would have, throughout the season there leading up, people would bring us addresses of families who maybe could use some help at Thanksgiving or weren't going to be able to have a traditional Thanksgiving meal. And so we would cook all day, like early morning on Thursday. And then we would prepare these big like care packages to take to families. And then people would sign up to deliver these meals all over the town.
Right.
And that was just such a cool, it was one of the things we did that we actually had too many volunteers for.
Wow.
Like so many things you're trying to just, oh, come on. I really need more people involved in this. But people would call like on Wednesday afternoon and say, hey, we're not gonna be able to travel for Thanksgiving. We have meals we can deliver. And it's like, sorry, I'll put you on the waiting list, but the waiting list is long.
Put you on the waiting list to deliver meals. Wow.
And so we would sometimes go in just with other families who already had a list of things to deliver, and we would just do that as family pairs, but just such a beautiful way of recognizing how much we've been given, physically, materially, but spiritually and emotionally as well. Recognizing the blessings that we have and using that time as a way of, hey, we're going to have this family time together. And then we're going to go and be a blessing to someone else in the middle of it. And it's a really cool, but it takes a lot of people to put something like that together.
It does.
and not just to cook the food, but it takes people being active in their community and knowing who around them, number one, needs something like this, and number two, won't be offended by receiving the help or asking for it.
Right.
Because there are some people that just, they live in the way they live and they maybe prefer it. And the last thing we want to do is, push someone further away or make them feel less than by trying to help. And so it takes us to be really active in that moment and in those people to recognize the need and figure out how we can fill it in a way that drives them closer to Jesus. So,
yeah, absolutely.
One of these days, I'll have the organizational skills to get all that together. Or someone will come along and say, "I got you, man. Let me
Right.
handle this." Right?
This is something that I want to do.
Yeah, that's cool stuff, man.
That is. That's really powerful. So those are things like that we kind of always want to do more of. Let us know out there what are some things that you guys enjoy. What's a ministry about Thanksgiving that you guys enjoy? Post that on our Facebook page. Put that in the comments here. All sorts of stuff. I want to remind you guys all. Take a moment, real quick, to remind you guys that hey, you can check us out. If you enjoy this, if you can't watch us live, you can always watch us later on Facebook, of course. You can also catch us on YouTube. And you can also like and follow our Twitter as well, all Behind the Beards. It's all on our Facebook page. And we have an Instagram as well. Is that what you're saying, Josh?
We do.
Hashtag Behind the Beards.
Yes.
Anyway, we're kind of trying to branch out and use all of these social medias, but we need to hear from you guys so that we can know what you would like on those things. But go ahead and if you've got extra time or something like that, find us on all those other things. It's all Behind the Beards. It's easy to find. Same logo, same everything. Find us, like us, follow us, all that kind of stuff. Josh, what are your personal plans for Thanksgiving this year? We're talking about ministry stuff, but personal plans.
My little brother's coming into town for a couple of days. I was supposed to have a wedding on Saturday.
Whoa.
Not my wedding. I was supposed to perform, and it's actually not actually a wedding. It was a re-wedding. Because they got married in April. It was their wedding was a casualty of Corona.
Mm-hmm.
And their re-wedding looks like is also going to be a casualty of Corona because with this recent wave, nobody's really able to travel. And so we had already made plans to stay here. I got our first playoff game on Friday night, so we'll be going out to New Iberia for the first round of the playoffs.
New Iberia.
I'll be officiating that first round game, and so it's we're just kind of chilling at home. We're gonna have a good time with my brother and his wife and kids. We may get to go Saturday down to New Orleans and take a little bicycle tour of the French Quarter, see all the history that's there around Congo Square and Armstrong Park and stuff. So,
wow, that sounds amazing. That sounds cool.
So, what about you?
We are, this year because of COVID, we're doing things different. Sam and I are quarantined until Sunday. So Lauren's going to go back to work tomorrow, Wednesday, first time back. And then Sam and I will hang out at home and be quarantined and continue working from home. And so we are doing nothing until Sunday. Sunday, I think. Sunday we will do Thanksgiving with my in-laws. And my father-in-law is like, when he gets serious about something, he gets serious. So he's like smoking a turkey and cooking a ham. And I mean, he will cook, eat, sleep the rest of the day because he'll be so exhausted from doing everything. But I bless his heart and I love him to death. And we'll try to ease some of that burden and cook some of those dishes for him. But he's a mean cook.
I recommend cleaning the dishes, not cooking the dishes.
I'm going to cook the dishes. I'm just going to throw them all out. I'm just going to be like, I don't know what happened to them. It's all gone. But we're going to do that. We're going to actually celebrate on Sunday. So we're going to push it back and celebrate on Sunday afternoon.
it's gonna be mac and cheese and dinosaur nuggets on Thanksgiving Day, huh? You and Sam.
That's what Sam. Yeah, that's what we're gonna eat. So probably some. I've been watching a lot of TikToks on how to make your ramen fancy, and so that's our. We've been doing some fancy top ramen, which actually has turned out pretty good. I will say this. So the only thing that I've used in the ramen was the actual ramen. You throw out the packet, throw out everything else, and
yeah.
So, I don't know. You get
Very
creative.
cool.
We get creative in quarantine.
I wonder if there's a way to cook ramen on a Blackstone. I've been doing a lot of Blackstone cooking lately. And I figured out you can cook just about anything on a Blackstone.
Just about anything. Well, what do you think? What do you think our behind the beards moment would be for this wonderful, thankful episode of Behind the Beards?
Oh,
he's so happy right now, guys.
I am. I'm happy and disturbed because I didn't ask you first. I don't know. I don't know that there is really a behind the beards moment. We've been talking pretty general, in these things. I think for me, it's just the good reminder that we have this time of year all the time, and that's just to be thankful.
Yeah.
And that's not just in this season, because it's easy to be thankful in November because everywhere you look, people are talking about being thankful.
Right.
It's harder to be thankful in February or March, particularly this March when everything's shut down. It's hard to be thankful in May of this year when kids were losing out on graduations. It's hard to be thankful when the trip we had planned for my son to come home from overseas, gets canceled and we don't get to see him for 2 years. It's hard when activities and things get pushed and churches are abnormal and everything's all messed up.
Right.
It's harder and harder and harder to be thankful. But the truth is, what we're really called to do is just to simply be thankful. In all things, give thanks. And it doesn't mean we have to be thankful for all things, but it does mean that in everything there is a way for us to find the nature and the character of God and to be grateful for it.
Yeah.
And the things that it comes from us, or the things that comes to our lives through those, even through those challenges and obstacles. So
I think so.
So just, hey, when things are going bad, when you got a sour attitude, when maybe you're angry at the world, stop for a moment, look around and find something you can be thankful for.
Absolutely.
And then let it snowball from there if you're willing.
I agree. Hey guys, we appreciate you being out here today. I hope that if you are traveling for Thanksgiving, that you will travel safely. If you get to see family, love on them, and just be safe about what you're doing. But we want to thank you guys for being here today. And we also want to remind you of something that's dear to our hearts, which is God's word. And that's Galatians 6:9. Do not grow weary in doing good. This world is messy. Life is messy. So allow Christ to use you to do something different, something good in his name. And just do that. Don't grow weary in doing that. I'm Aaron, and this is Josh, and we will see you next week on Behind the Beards.
Till we're all growing a beard. A man's face should never be bare. We just want some facial hair. We're anticipating, yeah, everyone's waiting for a beard.